Good morning. Welcome to another Monday Mindset. Give it a second here for people to get notified. Hope you guys had a great week. It is April 13th. We are already halfway through the first month of the second quarter. It is mind-boggling how fast time goes. So I want to talk to you guys today. We had a big change at Reminder Media. We moved from an office location that we had been in for 15 plus years. So I feel like I grew up in that office, learned so much about business over the years of being there, and dealt with a lot of different things, dealt with a bunch of, I've dealt with everything from losing big accounts, people quitting on me, the whole tax problem that I shared with you guys at a earlier Monday Mindset. So many different things I experienced over that time at 1100 First Avenue. But we have moved. I'm in my new office space, as you guys can tell. So we went from about 42,000 square feet before the pandemic, and then everybody went home, of course, for the pandemic, and we never brought them back. So we ended up seeing an opportunity to hire. I think it was GoDaddy that caused us to do it. GoDaddy had laid off like 200 salespeople down in Texas. And I found out from a friend that I knew that worked there. And I was like, well, this is a great opportunity to pick up talent. So GoDaddy had cut a bunch of people during the pandemic. So we picked up a ton of their salespeople and opened up in Texas. And then that spread to where we were now in 27 states. And so all of my team, there's about 300 people, all virtual, in their home offices. And there's probably, 5 to 10 of us that come in on a good day. And then, once a month, maybe we have 20, 25 people. So we dropped down from 21,000 square feet down to 8,000, which is a big change because now we're all closer together because we had spread out in that huge office. So I'll have to show you guys the office at some point, but we're getting set up here actually. Look, it's just an explosion of boxes. You see that? It's just an explosion of boxes that I have to unpack. But I thought there's 3 points that I want to give you this morning that's, caused me reflection. There's so many things I'm reflecting on, like the lessons I learned at 1100 First Avenue that I'll probably share over time in growing the organization. It's really where I grew up in business. And so there's 3 things I thought, though, as a reflection point in the move, because as you can tell, I have a ton of stuff that I'm unpacking. And I shared this post on my Facebook feed, about a week, 2 weeks ago when we were preparing for the move. And it just blew my mind and, going through and packing how much stuff we had accumulated. And you know this if you've done a personal move or a business move, you just are shocked at the amount of junk that you have accumulated. And, at one point in time, I guess you needed it. But it's so, it's such a good, I guess, reflective point even about your own mind, right? Because your mind is like a garden and you accumulate things. You don't even realize that, your mind is this bank account that you're investing in. And before you know it, it's kind of like a move. You go to move and you have all this junk and all this weight that is weighing you down because you weren't intentional. And, I wrote the 3 points down, I'll share with you. The first point that I wrote down is you're carrying more than you think. And this is really critical to understand that, we think we're going through life and, life happens to us from family, personal, business, and you end up carrying more than you think you are carrying. And you subconsciously don't even realize that it is weighing you down. Because if you study like neuroscience and you study the mind, which is way over my head, but I've listened to a bunch of videos and stuff on it, and 90+% of what you do every single day is just routine. It's the subconscious mind, meaning you get out of bed the same way, you go drink your coffee the same way, you brush your teeth, you get ready the same way, you drive to work the same way. This is why we've all experienced driving somewhere that we do all the time and we don't remember driving it. And it's not because you weren't driving it, it's your subconscious mind. It's just taking over and your thoughts are drifting because you've done it so much. And side note, that's where you want to be in your sales expertise, is that you've done it so much, you're so good at it that you literally don't even have to think. Your subconscious mind takes over and you just are able to give the pitch. But you don't realize that, man, 90% of who I am is all this stuff that is accumulated over time. And if I'm not intentional about it, then what happens is I just become a creature of this routine that's driven by my subconscious mind, that's been driven and formed by these habits, good or bad, that have been created. And I just want you to take a second and pause and go, what are you carrying right now that you didn't even realize you were doing, that you probably need to get rid of? But you need to take inventory of all the stuff that you are carrying. And, I wrote down, a little bit of a list, but it could be like bad experiences, right? I shared in the past, I had 17 people quit on me in 2 weeks. I had a huge tax problem pop up. We printed the wrong thing on a Morgan Stanley account and ended up losing, it's like $1.2, $1.4 million, depending on how you look at it. Overnight we lost that. And you have all these old hurts, all these old bad experiences, these failed deals, relationships, right? I just went through a season, I'm still going through it, where I got burned by and betrayed by a relationship. And it's like, okay, you have all these things that, they pile up. And if you don't deal with them, they weigh you down way more than you think. And happiness and joy, like those are a choice, right? It's a choice to choose joy every single day. It's a choice to choose happiness every single day. And so often we don't realize that we're not choosing joy, that we're choosing actually victimhood or misery. So anyways, you have more than you think you do. You've accumulated a bunch of junk. It's like a move of the mind. You need to get rid of some of that junk. Point number 2 that I wrote down was, what you don't remove will eventually control you. So what you don't remove from this garden of your mind, you don't weed it out, it will eventually just entangle you and control you. And so I just want to encourage you today that it's not only that you have this junk, but you must get in there and weed it out. So how do you do that? Now, I don't know the exact science of doing it or not. Here's what I have done in my life. You got to change your environment. Like one of the number one things you can do for your mindset, the number one thing you can do for changing kind of your outlook on life is to change your environment. The saying goes, you plant a flower in the desert, it dies. You plant a flower in good soil, it blossoms. So where are you planted is the question today. Who have you surrounded yourself with? What are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you reading? All that is feeding and piling up in your mind. And if you want to change your outlook and you want more joy, you want more peace, you want more patience, whatever it is, you got to change the environment that you're in to influence what you're doing. The other thing that I would encourage you as you think about, okay, how do I get in there and weed out? Get an accountability coach that will speak truth into your life. I've shared before that everything you want is on the other side of a hard conversation, and most of us go through life avoiding pain, avoiding hard conversations. It's not your fault. We want to survive, so call it whatever you want. Nobody wants to go into pain, but there's this beautiful thing in life that as you face the pain, as you go out there on the branch, as they say, that's where the fruit is. Change often is hard, but you have to change in order to grow. And so I just want to encourage you that, hey, you got to find somebody who's going to speak that truth into your life and not sugarcoat it. And if you are surrounded by a bunch of yes people, if you're surrounded by a bunch of people that all they're doing is praising you, or maybe they're not even praising you, but they're not challenging you, it's not that you have to get rid of that group. It's just you have to seek out new relationships that will speak truth into your life, that will tell you the hard things. And one of my favorite stories that Tony Robbins shared about Michael Jordan was the story that Michael Jordan, when he talked about the most influential people in his life, he remembered the coach in high school that cut him from the team, that basically said, you don't get a starting position on this team. And Michael was all upset because he was the most talented. It was obvious he deserved it from a talent perspective, but he wasn't showing up. And, Michael basically said, the coach did that to me, and that taught him such a valuable lesson. So he showed up to every practice and did all the things that the coach required him to do. So he made a spot next year on the team. And what was powerful about that is Michael didn't reference the people in the stands cheering him on. He didn't reference the people that were praising him. He referenced the person that spoke truth into his life that was hard, that actually made him go through a fire in order to refine and get better. And so I just want to, challenge you. Do you have someone like that coach who's going to not cut you down in a bad way? It's like iron sharpens iron, right? It's clanging together. What happens when iron sharpens iron? Sparks fly, right? You have to have that tension. You have to have that sparks flying to get refined and to get sharper. And so, an accountability coach, I just believe, is so powerful for you. If you don't have one, find one. Okay, third point that I wrote down here was growth isn't always about adding more. So oftentimes we think we got to get to the next level. We need a new skill set. We need, whatever it is, new things. A lot of times growth happens with actually cutting. Growth happens with change of environment, cutting where you were, sometimes change in friendships and who you're hanging around. It's a lot of times kind of junking, cutting things from your life. Like you think about getting fit in the gym, it's more about cutting the calorie intake than it is even about adding the workouts. Everybody will tell you abs are made in the kitchen because it's way more about your diet and what you actually intake and cutting what you intake than it is about your output. Because I think it was Steve Cook, he's a famous kind of fitness influencer. He ate 10,000 calories in a day and then went to do working out, he ate 10,000 calories one day. Then the next day he was going to go try to burn 10,000 calories. And it was crazy. Like eating the 10,000 calories was easy. Like he didn't struggle at all eating the 10,000 calories. He struggled immensely trying to burn 10,000 calories, and he woke up early, he did swimming, he did running, he did weightlifting. It took him forever to burn 10,000 calories, and that was such a great visual example of like, man, you can add things easy. It's so much harder to actually get rid of them, and so you're much, much better if you don't want to add the junk to your life, don't let it in to begin with, than it is of your ability to cut it out. But oftentimes in growth, it's about removing things more than it is about adding things. So there you go. That is my reflections for you this morning as I am sitting in my new office space here that I'll have to take a photo of or walk through of and walk you guys through. We're unpacking now. We have stuff to do with it. But we're sitting in 8,000 square feet, literally 2 miles up the road from where we were before. But it's a change. It's a big change for me because it's 15 years in one place. There's a lot of memories. And so it's bittersweet, but we're on to the next thing, which is awesome. And it's kind of relevant in the sense of I had to cut that extra 21,000 square feet because I don't need it. I go down to 8,000 square feet and probably don't even need 8,000 square feet. But we bring people in just because everybody's virtual now. But go get out there and win for your clients, for you, for your family. Make it happen this week. Think to yourself, what are you carrying that you shouldn't be carrying? Get into that, garden in your mind and start weeding things out. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Let's crush it this week. See you.